Hello everyone. I suppose I will turn my video on for a little bit. Let's see. Come on. Hello. You can see me for a few minutes and then I will probably turn off until the Q&A. Hi everyone. How's it going? Is everyone enjoying the convention? It's been probably a long few days, but you know, this is what we have for our yaoi convention. We've got to be here, right? We got to support. And in case you see me looking off to the side, I'm looking off at the chat window and reading your messages. So if you're not in chat, feel free to go and chat and say hi to everyone. Say hi to me if you like. And also, as V just posted, there is a Q&A session at the end, so feel free as I'm going through the presentation to go into the Q&A section and put your question in there if you like. And then I will go through all the questions at the end, and I'm sure there'll be duplicates and things, and then I can just combine them and answer them at that time. And you just need to add it one time. It'll stay in there until I dismiss it. So you don't need to worry about adding it more than once. Okay, so let's get started here. Oops, sorry, there we go. Okay, so panel host, that's me. I am Jennifer LeBlanc. I am the executive editor for SuBLime. And some of you, hi. Hi, Claire. Some of you may know my name because I've been around for quite a while with SuBLime. And sorry, someone asked about the Q&A section. So I think if it works for you the same as it works for me, if you put your mouse at the top, there's a little drop-down menu. And then, of course, now it's not working for me. And there's 3 dots at the right. If you click those, there's a Q&A in there. So if that's any different for anyone else, just drop in chat how you find it for you. Thank you. Okay, so I have been with SuBLime since 2011. I started SuBLime for Viz Media at that time. And so it's been a long, it's going to be 14 years in August, actually. So we can go into a little bit more here. Oops, here we go. And a little bit about SuBLime. It is backed by Viz Media. And Viz is North America's largest manga publisher. And SuBLime was launched at YaoiCon. Remember YaoiCon? Okay, can we get in chat? Who has been to YaoiCon? I'm curious to see. Yes, definitely miss it. Couldn't go because your mom wouldn't let you. Well, that's fair enough. There was some stuff at that convention that probably, you know, may not have been for you at that time. But yes, we launched at YaoiCon 2011. Our first digital books released February of 2012. And then our first print books released June of 2012. So it was very, very fast turnaround because, like I said, I was hired in August. The imprint didn't even exist yet. We had not even licensed anything yet. Nothing was done yet. So we had to go through like naming it, setting up a website, picking all the books, getting through all the licensing, and then getting the books made between, you know, that August and January, at least for the digital. So honestly, I'm not really sure how we did it. I was much younger then. I realize that now. I'm like, I don't think I could have done it if it was right now. That was a lot, but it was a fun time. That first year was definitely a lot of fun. Okay. You've built quite the empire. That's true. It is. It is a mini little BL empire. We're very proud of what we've done. All right, let's get into talking about SuBLime titles. They are released 3 ways: print and digital, print only, and digital only. These prices are, whoops, I just realized the price for digital is not correct. I don't even know how that happened. Okay, print price $12.99, digital price is $6.99, not $12.99. Please ignore that, and I don't think I can go in and fix it because of the presenter view I'm in right now, so we'll just have to leave that for now. But digital price is $6.99, and this is the base price. There are some differences. Digital, if it's like a digital booklet, then it could be down to like $1.99, and print, if it's like a bind up, I think is it $15.99? I'm not sure, but this is just the general base price for most of our books. Yes, the PowerPoint is sabotaging me. I know it was right before because this presentation was used for a different, actually at ASEN, and I'm pretty sure this would have been right for ASEN. So, but that was not me at ASEN. If it was anyone at ASEN, by the way, anyone currently in chat at ASEN, that was Hope did the presentation for me at ASEN. So Hope, thanks for that. I did not have to travel. All right. So digital titles, continuing on, they are available as download to own, subject to the creator or publisher approval. And those formats are PDF and EPUB. And the download to own titles can be read on e-readers like Kindle and Nook. Basically sideload it. And they are available in higher resolution files now. We started at a lower resolution back in 2011. The download speeds weren't as great as they are now, so we had to make them a little bit smaller to make it easier for download. But now, of course, download speeds are amazing, so we can go higher, better resolution. But the download to own files, again, the PDF or the EPUB, are on our SuBLime website. So if you go to the website and you want to buy directly from us, you can do that. And then those files are yours to own. You download it, you don't have to worry about losing those. You don't have to worry about, the big concern now with digital files of any kind, whether it's books or music or DVDs, is, they're not really technically yours if you're buying them through certain retailers. So at least this way, that file is yours. It doesn't matter what happens to us, you'll always have it. And then when you buy it on the website, you also have access to read it on the manga reader. So if you don't, like if you're on the go and you want to go into the reader and read it that way instead of downloading it, you can certainly do that. And then the books are also available on e-tail sites like Kindle, Nook, Kobo, Google Play, and Apple Books. If you buy from us directly, we keep more of the profits. So if you want to support SuBLime, that certainly helps us out. But you can also go through, like I said, Kindle, Nook, Kobo, Google Play, Apple Books. The other issue with e-tailers is sometimes, and I'm sure you've noticed this, sometimes the books aren't there, and that's because they have decided they don't like the content and they will pull down that volume. So if you were ever on, mostly it's between Amazon and Apple Books. We don't really have any issues with Nook, Kobo, or Google Play, but Kindle and Apple Books, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. I don't know, maybe people report them. I'm not really sure what happens. And once it's down, there's no getting to go back up. There's no trying to plead our case with them. So, but again, if it does happen, you can then come to the website. You can still buy the EPUB, which you can then load easily, or the PDF. So you're not out. You still have other options. So Apple hates fun. Sometimes they do, but you know, I guess to Apple's credit, if you want to say that, they used to, excuse me, not allow BL at all. So they have changed quite a bit to allow so much BL on it now. So that's good. But you know, as with all things, staffing changes sometimes, or unfortunately, layoffs can happen. You have a new person now that's dealing with it. They can have a different viewpoint on it. So that's the beauty of dealing with these different retail sites, is you don't necessarily keep that same person. So, okay, so enough about that. But we get into the 2024 and 2025 title debuts. And I don't know if anyone else is like this, but when I was doing the presentation, I was like, 2020, that's not right. 2024, that was like 2 years ago. I cannot wrap my head around the fact that 2024 was just like 6 months, 7 months ago. And I think maybe it's because, you know, in publishing, we're working ahead. So I'm working on, you know, books in the future. So sometimes I'm in quote unquote 2026 when I'm working on production stuff. So I get used to working in that year before we actually get to the year. And so then I come to, you know, talking about 2024 and I'm like, but that was years ago. And it's like, no, actually it was like 7 months ago. But yeah, yaoi time traveler, that is me. I'm always working between 3 different years, it seems. Okay, and I'm gonna go back to, let's see. Oops. I'm going back to video off since we're just gonna get into talking about books, these books, and I'll go back on to video on for the Q&A at the end. Okay, 2024-2025 title debuts. Whoops. There we go. My Dearest Patrolman. This was our first Niyama. I think this one came out before the other. We have 2 now, but I believe this one came out before the other one. This is 3 volumes and it is complete. So if you've been wanting to get this series, I know some people prefer to wait until a series is complete. It is available now, so you can get all volumes. If you don't know about this story, a few things to note. It is an age gap romance, which I love. So the guy on the left is, I think, 40, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think the other guy's like 28. I don't know. Feel free to correct me in chat if you remember their ages. But it is an age gap, which I love. I love when we get characters who are in their 40s. Not because I'm, you know, old. I'm not. I am very young. But I love 40-year-old characters. If you see them getting licensed, it's probably me that did it. But so this one, the character on the left is the older character. He was a police officer, and then the guy on the right looked up to him and then wanted to follow in his footsteps and became a police officer himself. But during that time, the older character had basically, we'll just say, some trauma that happened, and he retired and now runs a mini mart. And then he, the younger character, comes back to, you know, like their hometown or their home, their city, to walk the same beat, and they reunite, and then that's where, you know, their romance starts, blossoms, I guess. Very cute, very sexy, mature rating 10 out of 10, no notes. All right, on to the next, Takara's Treasure. And this is from the creator of Golden Sparkle. So if you read Golden Sparkle, you will probably like this one as well. This is a one-shot, and it is also available right now. And this is the character on the right is kind of like a golden retriever, basically golden retriever energy. He's from Fukuoka. He moves to Tokyo. The guy on the left here, he was nice to him at one point. So that's, of course, all it takes. That starts the romance. He was nice. So the golden retriever boy runs to Tokyo to go to college and to reunite. And they have a sweet romance. It starts off rocky, but you know, of course, it's BL. It's lovely. So if you like one shots, one and done, here's one of the ones we have. Great option. All right, next one up, Stigmata Love Bites. This was a me license. I loved this one and I wanted it really badly, so here we are. This is 2 volumes complete, so you can get all volumes now. And basically it is like I guess you call it like a supernatural type storyline. So it's about police detectives, and the guy here on the cover has essentially a stigmata. So what happens is he can go to the scene of a crime, and his way of helping to solve the crime is that he takes on, he can like relive the last moments of the victim and like their wounds, so he'll bleed. That's the stigmata part. So if like somebody was stabbed, he'll be stabbed in the same place, and then he sees kind of through their eyes what happened to them, and he can tell the other detective that he works with, his partner, what he's seeing, etc. So this one, I love it. The art style is very unique. I think it's very beautiful. And you know, who doesn't love a detective story? It is a mystery, so you don't really know what's happening as you're going through. So if you like any kind, you know, real crime girlies, where are you at? Anybody watch Investigation Discovery Channel like me all the time? Anybody fall asleep to true crime? Because I just think it's hilarious that it's mostly women that love true crime, and that we quite literally fall asleep listening to it. Like, I'm sure it's not great for us, but it doesn't seem to bother me. I sleep so well listening to it, which is crazy. So if you love true crime, here you go. I think this is a great story. Check it out, please. All right, next up is Someday I'll Fall for You. This is 2 volumes, also complete. And this is a childhood friends to lovers story. So they grew up together from little on. And of course, you know, there's what seems to be a one-sided crush. And then the story is just basically about dealing with that, like one confessing and the other having to deal with what are his true feelings for his childhood friend. Very sweet, lovely little story. Highly recommend. Next one is The Metalhead Next Door. Also a one-shot. So if you're looking for another one-shot, here you go. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this is a longer one too. It was like definitely over 200 pages. But this is such an adorable story. These two become neighbors. And so the guy on the left moves to this building. His unit, when he moves in, has no heat. So he essentially like collapses outside the door of the guy on the right, the metalhead. And then he brings him in to like look after him, take care of him. But even though he's like a metalhead, he's super into like heavy metal, he can't speak. He's like very shy, has a lot of anxiety. And so this is very much like a slow burn romance. They don't like jump into things right away. And basically their whole relationship is them just you know, eating together. So they'll have like dinner together and they build up their romance that way. And then the metalhead introduces the other guy to like a metal show with a mosh pit, and it's very funny in that scene. And yeah, it's very, very good. So highly recommend this one shot. Too cute. Can't go wrong. Next up, worst soulmate ever. So this is a megaverse, and this is Enemies to Lovers. So it's 2 volumes complete. This was our first by Haruta, and all volumes are out. And basically, yeah, they hate each other, but then there's like some matchmaking involved. And then, of course, you know, one thing leads to another, because how do you not fall in love with the guy you hate? So, so if you want some Omegaverse, here you go. Super fun. Enemies to still enemies. That's true. Next up, Palace of the Omega, another Omegaverse. This one is very, very beautiful, beautiful art, because everything is like palace, opulence, jewels. So the guy on the cover here, he's the Omega. He's from one kingdom, kind of like a snowy kingdom, and the king of this kind of like desert kingdom, I guess, hotter climate kingdom, needs to get married, and so this Omega is sent to him as his bride. And you know, of course, he's just resigned to his fate. He's like, okay, it's fine, I'm an Omega, this is what my life is. And of course, you know, when he meets the king, he's surprised because the king isn't exactly what he's expecting, let's just say that. And of course, it ends up being more that the king isn't the piece of crap he was expecting, because he's, you know, he's forced to marry this guy, and he's expecting him to just be, I don't know, necessarily a tyrant, but just whatever. It's not meant to be about love, and turns into something else. There's a lot of intrigue because there's a lot of like inheritance type, like who's going to take over the throne type situation. And so yeah, very interesting all the way through. And yes, arranged marriage ends up being true love. That's pretty much it. Very much an arranged marriage, but they get to know each other and respect each other. It doesn't like jump into anything. There's a long time of them getting to know each other. So very lovely. Next one up is Ask and You Will Receive. This is the next Niyama, 3 volumes complete. This is another like Enemies to Lovers type situation. So this one's pretty funny because the 2 guys work together. So this guy in the cover, when he's at work, it's kind of like a Clark Kent Superman situation. So at work, he's like, I think if I remember correctly, I think he wears glasses, but he's like this nerd, this bumbling idiot. Everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's such a like doofus, but it's all an act. And then he goes at night to these bars and looks like a stud and is like betting all these men. And this like kind of uppity coworker he has calls him like a prince type character, who looks down on him at work. He ends up at the same bar, and guess who's there, and guess who they run it, you know? So, and it's a very funny situation, and yes, so it's very much like starting off very tumultuous, and then they work on their relationship, and it goes through 3 volumes. All right. Next one, Pink Heart Jam Beat. I'm sure everybody recognizes this by now. This is the continuation of Pink Heart Jam. So we already did 2 volumes of, I think. Was it 2 volumes? I'm looking at my books. 2 volumes of Pink Heart Jam. And then she decided to continue it with Pink Heart Jam Beat. So it's essentially Pink Heart Jam was going from their college days, and then Pink Heart Jam Beat is, okay, now they're graduating, they're becoming adults, and this is what their relationship is going to be going forward. So the guy on the left had been working in a brothel, and the guy on the right they're both college students, and they were both in college together and in the same club for like, is it heavy rock? I forget. Music club where they have a band essentially. So they're in the band together, and then the guy on the right decides he wants to be with a guy, and he goes to a brothel, and then of course that's who waits on him, and that's kind of how they start their relationship together. And then, like I said, Pink Heart Jam Beat is now past all of that, where the guy on the left has already graduated and he's already working. The guy on the right is just finishing up, I think, his last year, and is trying to go on to his career, and they're living together, etc. So lots of things happening there. So love it, love the story. And very spicy, very beautiful art. So okay, so that's everything so far that has debuted and that is out and that you can get. Next up is the 2024-2025 title announcements. So this is everything announced from last August, so last 801 day, 801 day, then Valentine's Day, and then what we just announced on Friday. Okay, first up is A Man Who Defies the World of BL, and we have the cover reveal. So this is the cover for our version, for the English version. This debuts in August, so you don't have very long to wait. It is just 2 months, and it is 5 volumes ongoing, although I think it might be 6 now. I think another volume may have come out in Japan, but and this story, I'm going to go to the next page so you can see some interiors here. So this story is so funny. It is, and it's very different from literally anything that we've done so far and anything that I really see out there for BL. This guy here that you see like on the right, I'll just read a little bit here. It says, "I'm not oblivious. I know I live inside a manga, and it's not just any manga either. This is a BL manga." So this is a self-aware character. He has discovered or figured out now that the world he's in is boys' love. And so his whole thing that he's doing, and the page on the left kind of goes into it, is he's reading tons and tons of BL because he wants to figure out how can he avoid this situation. He knows every guy he knows is hooking up with other guys, but he likes girls, and he likes girls with big boobs. So he does not want to have that happen. So he has to learn all the tropes. And so every chapter, there's shorter chapters around like 6-ish pages, and each chapter is essentially talking about a BL trope. So like this, it's so fun because we all know what the tropes are. And this creator is covering every single trope you can possibly think of. There's going to be a chapter about it, and it's basically this guy trying to avoid that situation. And he's trying to stay as what he's calling a background character. He does not want to be the protagonist. So his whole thing is he's got to stay as a background character. So what do I do to make sure that that continues? Because he doesn't want to. You could change into a main character at any point. He's trying desperately to avoid these. And he's very smart, and he does a good job. And at the end of each volume, there's a bonus story that goes into his brother. His brother has become a main character. So the brother has his own romance. So you are getting an actual like BL story that's going to continue with one couple. Where all the other chapters are like different different characters and different character types. That's the other thing that's really cool, is at the end of each chapter, there's like a little bio for those characters, and it says the character type, like the golden retriever type, or the black-haired character, or the he doesn't go to the school character, stuff like that. And yeah, there is a live action for this that was very popular. And and the big question is, will he avoid the tropes? Will he avoid changing from a background character? And what's really fun is that he doesn't have a name, so you're going through this whole thing not knowing what his name is. So my guess is if we ever learn his name, and I haven't read too far ahead, I read a few volumes ahead, but so if anybody knows, don't tell, don't spoil it. But my guess is, it will get to a point where we're gonna be clued in. I don't think he's gonna stay safe, but it is really, really super fun. So I definitely recommend picking this one up, especially if you just want, or if you have a friend that wants to learn about BL. I think this is rated T+, if I'm remembering correctly. It doesn't get explicit, but there are like romance scenes in there of these other characters to some degree. So it's not completely chaste of like, not having anything happening. It just doesn't get explicit. Okay. Next up is Trickster's Tale. This is 2 volumes currently and ongoing, and it will debut December of 2025. And sorry, fixing chat here. For some reason, my chat stopped scrolling. There we go. Very much Danmei looking here. I'm going to go to the the internal images. There you go. So you can see what the beautiful characters and the beautiful art looks like. Very spicy. So the character on the right, he is half human, half fox demon. And when he was young, he's basically an orphan. And the guy on the left is a sage. And he adopts him or takes him under his wing, basically, because otherwise, he'll probably just die because he's young, and raises him up, and nothing happens. Don't worry about that. And then many, of course, years, because they're demons, or he's a demon. So this is years and years go by. And of course, he has a crush on his sage. And that's what the story is basically dealing with, is his crush on the guy on the left. But, the guy on the left can't have any kind of romance. It happened once before and something bad happened. So, yeah, very much dealing with their situation. And like I said, it's very spicy, so you can figure it out. You could figure out what happens with these two. But gorgeous, gorgeous art. As soon as I saw the cover, we'll go back and look at the cover again here. I mean, it's just like so beautiful. I thought we have to check this one out. And thankfully we got it. Okay, next one is Sleeping on Paper Boats. 2 volumes, complete, debuts October 2025. And just to clarify, like when I say 2 volumes complete, that means in Japan it's complete. It's not continuing on. So it's debuting for us in English in October. It's not complete for us yet. So this is more of a dark story. I'm going to go to the next images here just so you can see. A little spicy, but not too spicy. But this has a bit of a supernatural element to it as well. So the guy with the dark hair, he is a writer. He's a young writer. He's like a script writer for movies, and he finds out basically that he has a poison pen. So what he writes, the people, he tends to include people he knows in real life. He'll base a character around that person. But when he does that, what happens to that character in the manuscript happens in real life. So essentially, he's killed people on accident. He didn't realize this as it happened. So once he figured it out, he stops immediately writing, disappears. People are like, where is this, famed young writer? And he becomes a drunk because he can't deal with what he's done, basically. And the other guy here is a photographer, and he finds him in essentially drunk in a gutter. And he knows who he is, but he doesn't let on right away that he knows who he is. And so I'm not going to go into any further story of what their whole situation is, because there's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of mystery. Like I said, it is dark. It is a dark story. We rated this one T+, but it is spicy to a point. It's just the way she does the art that we felt we could go T+, in that it's not, it's not basically showing buttholes and you don't have this isn't like Escape Journey where you have you're looking out from the inside of the guy's butthole. So, we're gonna go T+ on it. You all know what I'm talking about. So don't let that, turn you off as far as, oh, well, there's probably nothing happening. Obviously there is. You can see that they are together here. So yeah, if you like mystery, if you like little supernatural elements, if you like some dark to the story, you will definitely love Sleeping on Paper Boats. And then the next one we have here is Scattering His Virgin Bloom Love Frenzy. So if you're thinking, this sounds familiar, that's because it is. It is the continuation of Scattering His Virgin Bloom, which had 2 volumes. That was a megaverse. This is, what they do frequently in Japan is they'll do 2 volumes of a story, see how well it does. If it does really well, then they will do the next iteration of it and continue their story from wherever it left off, essentially. So, in the first 2 volumes, the original part, the guy on the left here, it works in a cafe. This is a megaverse. I forget if I said that earlier, but works in a cafe. He's in complete lust for this guy on the right who's a florist. Comes in, gets really sweet sugary drinks. Anyway, they have kind of a tumultuous start to their relationship, but of course they fall in love. So the next part here, 4 volumes complete, is them being together and establishing this relationship, living together, and what that all means for them. So if you loved the first 2, you're going to love the continuation. And yeah, debuts February 2026. I don't know if I mentioned that. And here's some interiors so you can see. And here they are acting very saucy while actually being in public. Beautiful art. Lovely. All right. And then I think this is the last debut, this that we announced on Friday, which is May I Have a Taste. This is 6 volumes ongoing. This debuts April of 2026. And this is another age gap, another 40-year-old character. It's a vampire series. Love this. I just could not get enough of this one. And we'll go to some of the art pages here so you can see. And this one is rated T. This is probably more like BL adjacent. Let's call it that. They clearly, if you look at the cover here, obviously it's about these 2 guys and their relationship, but it's more plot-based. It's not about a romance specifically, but clearly they have something going on. but you'll have to, I guess, maybe read between the lines more on that. But this has like a crazy cast of characters, which I really, really enjoy, because a lot of BL, we don't get a big cast. It's essentially the main couple, and then maybe they'll have like a random friend that ends up getting their spin-off. But this story has lots of, basically you're meeting like all the random vampires that are in the area, and each one has their own story. They're all like loners, and then they kind of come together as this ragtag group around this 40-year-old vampire who just has this very like mundane, boring life. And his whole thing is that he does not want to feast on humans. He's a good guy. He feels really guilty about it, and then he runs into, or his coworker catches him feeding on a cat, but plays it off like he doesn't know. So like his coworker comes off as like this like just dopey, goofy guy, and then you find out actually his coworker is pretty much a psychopath. And that's where the relationship goes. So the boring 40-year-old with the psychopathic 20-something-year-old. I think he might also be 28. They tend to do like the 40-year-old and the 28-year-old is what the age difference tends to be. So, but I love the art in this, and the story is really, really great. Like I said, plot-based. If you want a vampire story, you're going to love this one. Just don't expect it to be a bunch of sex. That's not going to be in here. It's more, they have a special relationship. And I said, I think on Twitter on Friday, if you've read Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window, this is very similar as far as that kind of dynamic, where the two guys have, a special relationship, clearly something there, but it's not about getting into that part of it. It's more about the story and what they're experiencing together. So, okay, so that's the end of the title announcements. If you are wondering how you can tell us exactly what you would like, we have a fan wish list, and you can submit recommendations via the link on our website on the FAQ page. It should be like the #1 item on the FAQ page. There's a link there. It'll take you to a Google Doc form. Fill out the information. Please fill out everything asked, because that's very important for us to find what story you want. And then basically what happens is monthly we meet and discuss what comes in through the fan wish list. We look everything up, see what it's about, if we think it would fit, so on and so forth, how many people are interested in it. And that's, so it's a big part of, picking what we want for our lineup. And there's one title update, Crimson Spell. This series is finally complete. All volumes are out now, and I'm giving a special update because there was like a 3-year gap between volume 6 and volume 7 for special reasons. It affected every publisher outside of Japan. So every publisher in every country had the same problem we did with getting the last volume licensed. But happened. If you finally want to complete your series, all 7 volumes, Crimson Spell out now. All right. Where to find us? We're basically everywhere. Here's our website. We got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Essentially just at SuBLime Manga. You should be able to find us that way. And then convention schedule. We will be at Anime NYC again this year. And I just found out actually our panel is going to be on Saturday, I believe at 11 a.m. So it'll be earlier. Last year it was, I think, like close to dinner time, like 5 o'clock or something. So look for us there. We had a pretty full room last time, so if you're interested in going, definitely show up early. I have a feeling this time it'll probably be full, the room. And we do ask for a bigger room, but we can only get to a certain size. So get there early. And from what I recall last year, they did clear the room first. They didn't let people like sit and take up the chairs essentially from the prior panel. So, okay, so now we're going to go into the Q&A. So I'm going to see if I can find the Q&A part here. One second. All right, I'm just going to scroll through these quick. So give me 1 second. Just want to see if there's any duplicates. Let's see. Will the website be updated to display current new releases? Currently, it displays releases and news from 2024 or prior on the homepage before showing newer ones. The new releases actually do show right on the homepage. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. I have my laptop here. Let me open it up. Okay, so basically like the top 2 things are the blog, so that has not been updated. But right underneath that, it says latest print and digital releases. That is all current. So that automatically updates the second something releases on the website. It's already tied to the calendar, so nothing there has to be like manually updated. It just does it on its own. But no, the blog posts are not updated. Hopefully they will be at some point. It's basically on me to decide to write some interesting blog posts to put on there. So at some point, yes. But the latest print and digital releases are current. That's all up to date. Let's see. Okay, from what I understand, if a series is already out, you can license it all at once. But if volumes are still coming out, you have to license them individually. Does this impact the series you choose to license, and how do you decide to separate different licenses, i.e. Someday I'll Fall for You being a prequel, Pink Heart Jam versus Pink Heart Jam Beat, etc.? It can affect the licensing. I mean, essentially, like if we know a creator tends to do really long series and she just starts a new series, we may be less likely to want to license it, simply because with BL, long series are very, very difficult to make work, because whatever we start off with volume 1, it's going to decrease each volume after. That's just how it works with all manga. It's not specific to BL. So, if you sold 10,000 of volume 1, the next one is going to drop by a pretty specific amount to volume 2, and then after that it's going to be a smaller increment, but they will keep going each volume after that. And it's pretty standard kind of percentages that they're going to drop. We have so much data that we kind of know what's going to happen. So if we're getting something that's 10 volumes, by the time it's getting those further out volumes, they're not making any money. We're going to be losing money on those. So we tend to try to stick to shorter series, so that we can keep going and keep licensing more. So the long and the short of it is, yeah, it can make a difference. And if the series is already complete and we know exactly what's there and we can just license everything at once, great. If it isn't and it's a new series, we then just kind of look to the author's history to see how long do they tend to go, or maybe even with the publisher, we have a pretty good idea of how long they might go with the series. So it just depends. And as far as like spin-offs and things like that, we try to go with kind of the series that may have started it, but sometimes certain spin-offs or sequels, whatever, aren't as successful. So there are times we aren't going to do like the entire world of books, essentially, that are tied to that. Or if we do, say, the first 2 volumes, but they don't do that well, then we may not do a continuation of it because the first 2 really didn't do well. So there will be times where we may not continue something, but that is simply because now we have data. We've already done, say, 2 volumes, and we can see that, geez, if these didn't do well, this continuation won't either. And we have enough data too about this, where if we have something like, say, Pink Heart Jam, then Pink Heart Jam Beat, Pink Heart Jam Beat is going to act like continuing volumes. So if we have Pink Heart Jam 1 and 2, and then Pink Heart Jam Beat Volume 1, that's going to act like a Volume 3. So we know now that that's going to be going down in a certain amount as far as what's going to be released. So these are all things we have to think about as far as like the bottom line of it. Let's see. And I forgot to mention this before, but if there are any questions regarding specific licenses, like will you do this, etc., general consensus is we just won't talk about that publicly, because obviously we don't want to tip our hand to, you know, someone else and say like, oh yeah, we are interested in this, and now, you know, we're dealing with competitors. But also it's just seen as bad business as far as Japan is concerned to be talking about licenses. So if you did ask about one and I'm not answering it, that's why. But you can always go to the fan wish list and add it there. But if you're seeing something that you know is like super popular and it's not getting licensed by anyone, there is definitely a reason for that. Because something that's super popular but nobody in the English market is licensing it, you know, why would we not want to do something that's super popular? There's probably something tying our hands. So there are definitely a few series that people are like, why would you not do this? And it's like, well, we would love to do it, but we can't. And no, I can't go into reasons, but they're all different kinds of reasons. Unfortunately, you have to kind of read between the lines on that. So if you're ever banging your head against the wall about why we're like, none of us are doing something, there's definitely a reason that's happening, and it's not something we have any control over, unfortunately. Are your titles available on Cloud Library or Libby? No, they are not. And I'm assuming Cloud Library or Libby is tied to like libraries, because like Overdrive, I know we were working on getting our books to libraries through, I think, Overdrive. I don't know where we are with that currently because I don't handle that specifically. Okay. This year I finally managed to dip my foot in the manga lettering industry. And as a big fan of BL, it would be an amazing opportunity to get to letter something for SuBLime. Do you guys ever bring in new people? What would be the best way to apply inside my portfolio? Thanks. Basically, what you can do is go on the website. I think it's also in the FAQ. Sorry, I'm looking at our website right now. Is it FAQ? Yes, in the FAQ, working with for SuBLime. There's basically an email there. It says info@sublimemanga.com. You can just reach out to us there and submit some of your work, and we can take a look about hiring you to do lettering for us. So you can, if you're a translator or a letterer, you can reach out to us that way. And based on work, then we can decide if we want to have you do either a translation test or a lettering test and go from there. If you are not in the US, can you access SuBLime BL website and see the manga and the reader on the website? Yes, you can. Any updates on Yarchin Bitch Club Volume 6? Yes, it will be coming. That's the best I have right now. Yes, it's being worked on. We'll just say that. We will have dates announced soon. Is it better to send the recommendations from publishers you are working with so that the manga has a higher chance to be licensed? You could send whatever you like. If it's somebody we are working with, it certainly is going to have a better chance because we're already signed up. It basically takes a lot for us to establish a relationship with a new publisher. So we don't want to, for like one random book, we may not want to establish that relationship. We like to see through like our fan wish list, are we getting a lot of recommendations for this particular publisher? So it's always better to just send your recommendations, even if you know we don't actively work with that publisher, because we still look back at that data to see, does this publisher get a lot of recommendations? And then we can decide it might be worth establishing a relationship with them. And let's see. Has there ever been any discussion regarding releasing box sets for any present or future series? Maybe. That's as far as I'm willing to go answering that one. How is SuBLime's distribution to international fans affected by recent distributor closures? I had trouble getting copies of new titles since last year's holidays. As far as I know, the distributor we work for international has been fine. So I'm not sure. Was it copies of new titles of SuBLime or just in general? Because as far as I know, our distributor we work international is fine and should not be. I haven't heard that there's been any issues. Is there a BL trope scenario that you haven't published yet but hope to in the future? I can't. I'm sure there is, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. But if anyone wants to add in chat, if you love, there's a certain trope you love that you haven't seen yet, feel free to add it there. Because I got with Mad K, I got my eroguro, erotic gore, basically. I like that. And I got that. Any hope for embracing love, even if digital only? No, unfortunately, I don't think so. And that's not on us. And that's just one of those situations I can't really give more information on. It's not going anywhere. We've tried, and it's, everything we do has to be approved. Every continuing volume has to have approval. And it's just not going beyond what we've gotten so far. So. What is the best way to enter the manga publishing industry? Is acquiring education for specific degrees the only route? It helps to have an English major. You don't have to, but it certainly helps. And, for me, how I ended up doing it was I had way back at the time of when blogs were a thing, I had a blog that did reviews and talked about news. If anybody's an old timer, if you remember the yaoi review, that was me way back. Live journal days, had my own website, and then I got hired going through that. So that's a good way to do it. But going to college and then interning is, a way you could try to intern for Viz. Okay, we have quite a few more questions here, but we are at 1:30, so I think this is the time that we have to stop.
Yes, we are sadly at time. I'm sorry. But thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And check us out at Anime NYC. Otherwise, we're on all the social channels. And you can chat with me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active for SuBLime.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go dump my entire wallet on your website. Just take it.
Thank you.
And hope everybody has a great rest of their con.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk soon.